Hi there, I'm Jared Wesley from the Political Science Department at the University of Alberta, and I'm one of the lead researchers on the Becoming Albertan Project. Thanks for joining us today as we walk you through what our study is all about and how we hope to engage teachers across the Alberta community, with a start in Parkland School Division. The Becoming Albertan Project is part of a larger initiative called the Common Ground Initiative, where researchers from across different departments at the University of Alberta are examining the political values that underlie the Alberta provincial landscape. And to do this, we're taking a relatively novel approach. Rather than simply using surveys to ask about public opinion, we've been touring across the province hosting focus groups where we ask participants to do something rather simple, but quite enlightening. Simply draw us an Albertan. And so far, we've had hundreds of drawings from across the province, many of which look very familiar and look very similar. We find people are drawing the average Joe, quite literally in some cases. People that are farmers or cowboys or people connected to the oil and gas industry. And it got us to thinking, if that is the mythology around what it means to be Albertan, right? If the average Joe cowboy or someone like that is how adults view the stereotypical or quintessential Albertan, how might younger Albertans conceive what it means to be Albertan? And that was kind of the genesis of our Becoming Alberta project. We asked two central research questions as part of our study. First of all, at what stage do Alberta youth absorb that cowboy myth? When we ask youth to draw us an Albertan, at what age do we start to see them drawing cowboys or farmers? Secondly, how does this level of acceptance vary across different types of school communities across the province? Do we see people in certain regions or in certain types of schools drawing different things than we find in other schools? And again, we'd like your help as a teacher to initiate this study in your classrooms and help us to better understand youth identity development in Alberta, but also help to improve the way that we teach youth identity in our classrooms. So as I mentioned before, the activity itself, the research activity, takes about 30 minutes or so of class time. We're going to ask you to help us get your class to draw us an Albertan. As part of this exercise, we'll ask those students to write a brief backstory about the Albertan that they drew, the person that popped to mind first for them, where they come from, what their marital situation or family situation might be, where they work, what they do for fun, and so on. We also ask all of our participants to name their Albertan. And that's also telling when it comes to who they think is, the typical member of our provincial political community. And then we've designed some discussion questions for you to lead your class through a conversation about what they drew. What does it tell us about their own connection to the broader Alberta community? Because what we suspect is that if they're like our adult subjects, your participants in your classrooms will draw people that don't necessarily look like them. And understanding how folks from marginalized communities that don't look like the typical Albertan identify with that political community is very important for their own social development, but also for our own community's democratic future. So our team is made up of myself and Dr. Lynette Schultz from the Department of Education at the University of Alberta. We also have Wade Leduc, who you'll hear from in a moment, and Tyson Mastel, who are teachers here in Alberta. And our study is funded through a grant sponsored by both the Cooley Institute for Advanced Study at the University of Alberta and the Alberta Teachers Association. We're very grateful for their support of this initiative. So how are we going to go about engaging you as teachers? Well, we hope that this will be a two-way process where we will learn from the materials that you send to us from your students and from your own reflections. But then we'll also help to mobilize that knowledge in the form of new curriculum tools or teaching tools that you can use in your classrooms, and a better understanding generally of students like those in your class and how they conceptualize identity and citizenship and concepts like that. So what we'd like to ask of you as teachers is to help us first secure permission and assent from parents, guardians, and students in your classrooms to participate in the study, and we have forms prepared to that effect. We'd like to help us oversee the activity. We will prepare an introductory video that you can play for your class that will lead you through the activity. So we'll provide the instructions. And then you will lead a class discussion after the drawings are done, gather up all of the materials, and then fill out a brief post-activity questionnaire that gives us some insight into your observations of what happened in the classroom. You'll note that at no time whatsoever are we collecting your students' personally identifiable information. So all of the students in your class will remain anonymous through this process, and through that, we're hoping to keep their identities from being released to the public. So overall, we anticipate this will take up about 2 hours of each teacher's time in each class that they do the activity. About 45 minutes of prep work. That's a generous amount of time. I think it'll take a lot of teachers a lot less just to review the materials, make sure they're all in order and distributed to the class ahead of time. That'll include worksheets that we've prepared and so on. Then we would ask that the delivery of the activity take between 30 and 45 minutes. And then the post work, including collecting all of the worksheets, consent forms, and putting them in a self-addressed, already stamped envelope and sending them back to us before filling out a final online questionnaire yourself as a teacher, will take about 45 minutes. We hope that this 2-hour investment of your time will be valuable to you as a teacher, because we're going to, as I said before, mobilize this knowledge in a variety of different ways. First, we intend to write some newsletter reflections for your own school division, and in province-wide publications. We're open to making presentations to anyone that wants to invite us into their staff meetings or professional development workshops. We're also open to leading province-wide or division-specific webinars to talk about the findings that we've generated from the study. Most importantly, though, we hope to work with curriculum designers and other pedagogical experts to develop some teaching tools and exercises that you can use on a go-forward basis in your classes to better understand and teach students about their own personal identity and how it connects to the broader provincial community. So in terms of next steps, we'd invite all of you who are interested in participating as a teacher in this study to fill out a brief information form that's found at the link that you find on your screen. There, we're going to ask you some simple questions like your contact information, how many students are in your class, and how you can see the activity perhaps fitting into your curriculum. We're looking for about 20 classes throughout Parkland School Division as part of the pilot project. And the main part of the study in fall 2021, we're hoping to engage about 100 different schools across Alberta. So if you're interested in being part of the Parkland pilot or the main study, please fill out the form that you find at the link on your screen. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to two of my teammates who will talk to you a bit about the value of this activity to first of all, the teaching community, and then to the student community here in Alberta. So we'll start with Mr. Wade Leduc, who's a teacher in the Parkland School Division, who's a partner as part of our research project. So I'll turn it over to you, Wade.
Yeah, hi there. I am Wade Leduc, and I teach English Language Arts at Spruce Grove High School, Spruce Grove Composite High School here in Parkland School Division. And even though I primarily teach or solely teach English Language Arts these days, I do have a background in social studies, so I can speak to some of the curricular and program of studies connections that we can make within this study. There are lots and lots of really, really rich curricular connections, regardless of what grade level we're talking about, from the lower elementary years all the way up to high school. Within the social studies program studies. Particularly, there are some really, really specific outcomes that you're going to be able to hit if you are teaching social studies grade 8, grade 11, or grade 12, where we talk about worldview, national and non-national identity, and ideological perspectives, respectively. Outside of the social studies connections, I think there's in the larger humanities, there's some really clear and authentic connections that I think we can make in the storytelling and personification and symbolism element of the exercises. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value that can be gained in terms of solely just curricular connections, let alone the rich construction of valuable teaching materials that Jared was mentioning earlier, that you have the opportunity to engage in creating for yourself and for future teachers down the road.
Thanks, Wade. And as you mentioned, social studies is a natural fit for this particular topic, but we're also looking for teachers in other subjects that we may not have thought about, in particular language arts, and perhaps even fine arts, who are interested in engaging in this activity. I'm going to turn it over now to Nonso Mora, who's a high school student who's a research assistant on our project. We're very happy to have Nonso aboard, who's contributed in a lot of different ways, creatively, in particular, to designing this study to make sure that it has benefit for students and future students. So over to you, Nonso.
Hello, my name is Nonso Mora. I'm a grade 12 student at the Spruce Grove Composite High School as well. I'm really happy to be a part of this, and it's such an interesting study and such an amazing opportunity for me to grow and learn, and for other students to have some of the opportunities I have not been fortunate to have, but I'm now being fortunate to get into and help with. I think there's a lot of different ideals and different ideas that we've never really cared to look into. And our curriculum, unfortunately, lacks a lot when it comes to discussing marginalized groups or discussing history of different cultures and communities who have helped contribute to the foundation of Canada and contribute to the building of this amazing country. And as a student of a marginalized group myself, I've seen a lot of times how difficult it is to add your own image and put your own identity to the stories being taught in school. I think there's a lot of different ideas that are overlooked inside our education and inside our curriculum that should be highlighted. We should be learning about people like John Ware and his impact in the Albertan education and impact in the Albertan ideal for Albertan culture, as well as Violet King, who was one of the first Black lawyers in Alberta to sit on the Alberta bar. It's people like these who've changed the country as we know it and changed this province as we know it. And we are unfortunately not taught about these individuals. And we're missing stories, and we're missing the ideas of such amazing people from so many different parts of this world who can really implement change into the narrative we are taught and into how we grow. And I hope that through this study, we are given the opportunity to help younger generations and future students of the Alberta curriculum learn more about themselves and be able to put themselves in different scenarios that they probably never imagined they'd fit into as an Albertan. So thank you so much for your interest, and we really hope that you enjoyed this study just as much as I have and we all have in creating it.
Thanks, Nonso. And with that, I just want to remind you once more that the best way to get a hold of us is through our website, and in particular through the registration form, which has links to other material about our project. Nonso has talked quite eloquently about the ultimate objectives of our project. The first step is to figure out how Alberta youth actually do conceive of the typical Albertan and how they might fit into the Alberta community, and we need your help for that. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to reach out to me through the link that you find on your screen. And we hope to hear from many of you soon. Please share this widely, and we hope to see many of you as part of this study in the future.